what it is.
What's up?
Got your person in the cut. God damn. How you doing? Long time no see.
Long time no see. It's been a long minute. I am in the fifth circle of hell, and it's not a level.
How many circles are there?
It's not the one where Lil Nas X is giving people, lap
Not
dances.
Montero. Not where Philip is.
That seems like the
Oh,
nice
it's where
side.
Philip is.
No. Philip is not where the lap dances are.
No, I mean, you're where Philip is.
I'm where Philip is, exactly.
Yes.
Because the place where they're getting lap dances, it's a nice time, clearly. I'm in the fifth circle of hell. Birth control is trying to kill me.
Yeah, I cross fingers, pray I never have to go on that girl ever again.
I'm ready to stop. It's been a month
She's
now.
too much.
I have been PMSing essentially for a whole month.
Everything is dry.
Everything is dry. My boobs have been sore the entire month. I'm not joking. I have been a size above the entire month. I'm not joking. I feel like I'm in hell, guys. If I continue by the next episode, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make it. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm surviving. I don't know why I keep looking forward to the end of the month. Like things are going to change or something new is going to come. But I'm looking forward to the end of April.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been such a heavy 2 weeks, or the last week particularly.
Dude.
And for some reason that's taken its toll on me.
Yeah.
But I'm still exercising. Getting into the running, excited, even though I don't sound like it, but I'm excited to see what
What's
the
coming,
next quarter
yeah.
has for us. So yeah, that's me. Recap of the week. So while you were away in Cape Town, sniffing that sea breeze, so much unsavory shit happened.
Dude, it's been a... Just over a weekend alone, so much has happened. So many tragic things, like just one day after the other.
I think for me, the first thing that I'll profile is us actively seeing something. Like, there have been so many times where we spoke about the issue of young women being overly invested in or having a level of regard or respect for men, right? Because I don't want to talk about investment, considering social conditioning and all of that.
Yeah.
And us then, the one thing that everyone has spoken about multiple times in terms of the young lady who positions herself as an influencer, who also dates amaginza, which is gangsters on the side. And how we've always spoken about how dangerous that is, outside of us having any proof point of her directly endangering someone.
Yeah.
And then having someone post an entire thread speaking about how she wanted him to sleep with one of their friends, and the person said they don't want to do that, and then they helped the friends drug the person and intimidate the person and all of that. And it's just always so sad when the things that you foreshadow are actually flippin' real.
Yeah.
So I think that to me was very scary. Multiple times we've said this trend of speaking about valuing men over everything is so dangerous because it normalizes certain things.
It's not a joke,
because
guys.
you read it online as a joke, haha. But that person that's posting it knows that
mean it.
they're justifying stuff that they're doing. So that was a wild one for me.
Especially for someone that young. For me, it's
very young.
Granted, I don't have a lot of access to many young people, so my sample size is terrible, but it was very wild for me, for someone that young, for someone with that much potential, with a platform that she has, to use all of that for that.
It's
really?
scary. It's really scary. But it's also it's not unique, right? Because it plays into the age-old relationship structure of gangster boyfriend, dates, young girl, promising future, educated, normally light-skinned, comes from good family background, and forces her into a lifetime of distress, and uses her social standing to sanitize him, as well as just steal her time. Men will steal your time.
Because look, now she was posting that nonsense.
And now that's who you are.
We all laughed.
And now that's who you are. It's like Munira at her big age, that's who she is.
Yeah.
Zuki at her small age, that's who she is.
Yeah. And she'll never live that down.
The
and
fact
she
that
has
there's no
herself
in between
to deal with.
There's no in between. Like at chasing 40, early 20s, this is a reality for women. That's scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then like shit just did not stop getting dark this week. Saturday.
Think so, yeah.
Dr. Cindy died.
Yeah, sadly.
Man, you know when you look at how you know something, like you know someone is a phenomenal being to many people, and then you look at how much light has been stolen from people's lives as soon as they pass away, and you look at the way people speak about them. Like, it's weird. Every time someone dies, I'm always in awe of how people speak of that person. Like, everyone had such great things to say about Dr. Cindy that even though you knew how great she was when she was alive, now you're like, wow, this is a loss on another level. It was just so triggering because she often spoke about losing her mom and how that has had such a negative impact on her, and that's something that I personally deal with. That's very heavy. So to see her children have to deal with that without ever, because one of the most unfair things about losing your mom at a young age is that you don't get to experience your parent as an adult where you guys can actually form a friendship. You don't get to experience your parent as a person that you can ask about real life, actual adult things that you are experiencing without them having a sense of responsibility in their response. And I think that's like, will always be the saddest thing for me. And I think that's why this week was so triggering, because every time people spoke about her children, she has the same name as my mom. And every time I saw Abandona Magasinda, I was like, Jesus Christ, if Nikki and I have lived this nightmare. And it's something that nobody deserves in the world. But at the same time, I'm like, it was so powerful that with the short time that she had, she managed to do so much. She lived so many lives. And she also impacted and changed so many lives. And that is all we can be grateful for.
Definitely. I mean, I saw someone asking a question about their viral load this morning. And I was like, damn, man. Dr. Cindy would have answered that so well and so simply also, just to be like, no, girl, you're completely all right. This is what I've been saying. You equals you. I think you're the one telling me about that. You'll be good, And I was like, wow, we really lost.
You equals you. You equals you is the most amazing thing I've ever heard of in my life. I think I should explain just briefly.
Yes, please.
So you equals you means undetectable equals untransmittable, transmissible. So basically what that means is if your viral load is suppressed, if you've been taking your medication for long enough for your viral load to be suppressed, you cannot pass the HIV virus on to anyone else. And I just think that is, to me, amazing. That should be put out there way more than prevention messaging, because unpopular opinion, but I feel like prevention messaging contributes to stigma. 100%. Because if people are living with something in the world, suggesting that there's something very wrong with living with that thing, especially when it's a disease that has a moral attachment to it, I feel like it muddies the water a lot. Exactly. But that's you equose you. Yes, back to Misho.
Actually, I'm going to go off on a tangent, but essentially what you just shared is something that I had. So we had an issue with somebody that we know who got the disease or the virus, and I was reassuring my mom. I was like, listen, for as long as this person takes the medication, they'll be fine. Good. Like, literally, it was, I even told her myself, I was like, listen, you'll be fine. Like, you'll be fine. Here's all the information.
It's manageable,
Here it is. It's managed. Like, it's not the end of the world. And so for HIV to have gotten to that point where it's not, I mean, it's because amazing. We all witnessed, there was, if you're old enough, if you're old enough, you remember when your parents were going to a funeral every single weekend, and it was like, oh, this person was sick, this person, it was like a very short illness at the time, and most times it was HIV. And so, shout out to people like Dr. Cindy who have contributed and pioneered, so much with regards to HIV research. The Sunday...
The Sunday there was more death.
Ay, son.
This was also like such a heavy one because it was such a young lady, like AKA his
22.
fiance,
Yeah.
Nelly Tembe, I think.
Yeah.
She's 22.
Yeah. I think she just turned 22 or something.
So she jumped from the 10th floor of a hotel.
Yeah.
And I felt very, like, it was very sad, thinking about what one would feel if they were to lose a loved one, in that way. Also a loved one at a time where there was so much projected joy.
Yes,
They were about to get married, all of that. But then also to see people who don't even know what happened speaking about, yeah, guys, depression is real. Always ask for help. Reach. You don't know the circumstances
Exactly.
of the thing. Like, I found it was very weird and very forward. And I think like we have this weird thing where we like to bond through grief on social media, but also this weird thing of wanting to remind people of something every time someone dies.
The whole be kind thing has definitely been circulating around, and
Bro.
of which we should be kind. But there's just been
But also
the way we hold each other hostage with that. Hey,
we should be kind. We don't have to be nice.
I
think that's the issue.
I don't have the vocabulary, but it's just it's a very and then when someone slips up or they have a human moment, which is what I'll call it, then it's like, yeah, you guys were talking about being nice yesterday,
But now you're doing
look
this.
at you guys now. Ugh,
You
come
know
on,
that's the thing, that's the reason why like we need to have a proper understanding of kindness versus niceness, because niceness isn't something that a lot of people get to experience from a positive or from an authentic place, right? I feel like niceness is such a performance, and also niceness is used to silence. Because I look at what's been going on, you look at high profile people like that fucker Siv.
We're actually gonna get to
Fuck
that
that
justice
fucker.
for Lulu.
So you look at
hashtag
a person like Siv. Actually, we can
Let's
fucking
just-
get into Siv. Let's get into Siv.
Savannah.
So you look at a person like
In
Siv.
fact, let me not insult that drink
Yeah, no.
by associating her with someone like that.
That man weaponizes niceness
Yeah.
because he's a boyki, he's a gentleman, and he uses that to silence an entire community that's crying out and saying, stop it.
Yeah.
Like, stop using our human experiences, stop using the way like we identify ourselves as a means to make money, and also stop silencing us when we try to correct you.
Yeah.
And I think that's
But
where we
also,
see,
if you're gonna position yourself as an ally, as a member of, that community, you're gonna need to step up.
literally. So I think that's where we see the difference between kindness and niceness on social media, because kindness is always on, right? And kindness is being fair to yourself and fair to the other, based on
And
the
it goes-
context.
It
Yeah,
goes hand in
both ways.
hand with empathy as well.
Yes, based on the context that you find yourself in. So if somebody is being terrible to other people, I don't owe them kindness in that moment. And whatever I think is kindness that I'm extending is actually just niceness.
Exactly.
Right? And
exactly.
I'm doing that to appear as if I'm above the situation.
But also, guys, even in those moments where you want to be kind, some people just need a firm talking to, and sometimes it looks like telling them to fuck off. Of which I'm saying,
I still
Siv
feel
must
like
fuck
you
off.
can be kind and say fuck off.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Because like there are certain situations where I'll use a war analogy where like during a war there are certain rules of engagement that just don't exist, that would normally exist in normal situations.
Yeah.
And we're not at war with men because we're not fighting against them. They're the ones
they're
that are
fighting.
hunting.
Yeah.
It's a fucking
They're
genocide, right?
exactly.
So I don't think that within those moments those people are owed kindness at all, especially men who are currently cishet presenting, because that's how Civ is presenting.
Yeah.
But anyway, I
He's
think
a
we should get
bitch.
into the topic for today. Fuck
Exactly.
Civ.
Fuck Civ, you a bitch nigga. You need to stop taking up so much space. You a hoe ass bitch.
I don't like that guy at all. He's so horrible, and to see him
just the way he's been
actively-
so aloof.
Actively gaslighting and then
yeah,
acting like the victim within the story when somebody has literally died, and then not being afraid of the fact that you are now centering yourself and all these other cisheads are coming to your protection, as opposed to you using your platform for what you've been claiming to be using it for, which is getting justice for
people
Lulu.
are hurting, dude. Like, people are hurting. It's not a nice time. It's definitely not a time to be behaving the way he's been behaving.
He's wild.
He's really wild. I just think the troopers need to, you know, do something.
But moving on
God
to the
there's no
topic for
video.
today, because earlier this week, we saw that a young girl died through suicide because of bullying that she experienced at school. And it was triggering, but at the same time, I felt so much shame when I was watching the clip and when I was seeing people speaking about their bullying experiences. I felt a lot of shame because I've been a bully. And I think at the time, I wasn't concerned about how this thing was going to stay with the other person, because you're never concerned about that when you're the one that's benefiting within the moment. Because for you, it's short, it's fleeting. It's what you thought you needed to do within that moment to assert yourself or to be more popular or to appeal to a certain friendship group.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I actually was asking myself this week, how can you as a person have experienced bullying and known what it felt like, and that thing never left? So I experienced bullying in grade 1, and then I would experience it here and there, like in the township. But it after like grade 1, it wasn't something that was as persistent in my life, and also you sort of gain a sense of confidence or an ability to push things away.
Yeah.
But it was wild to me that like I know what it feels like. I've experienced it multiple times, but it was so easy for me to do to someone else. And I think that's why I felt like so much shame this week that I actually didn't even want to engage with any of the things that were being posted about that bullying incident.
Yeah.
But I think to start, we can sort of open the conversation up to something that outside of what we experienced as children, or outside of what parents should actually do to their children or for their children. I think we need to open up the bullying topic in terms of all the different places that you can experience it in and all the different ways that you can experience it in. Because we make this mistake of acting like it's just a childhood thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas you can, and you probably do, experience it at work, at church, within friendship circles, as an adult.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm very sad about that.
Yeah, no, it definitely was for me, it just made me realize just how much I had suppressed from my own experiences being bullied. And also I realized I felt a very deep discomfort just talking about it. I still didn't. Because it was so, I don't know, man, like, first of all, I don't want to make that child's
about you,
death about me, but obviously it has unfortunately unearthed certain things and certain feelings that I may not have addressed, throughout my life. But yeah, it's just a very strange thing to talk about, because I think I realized, wow, like, bullying hardened me from such a young age.
Yeah.
I was entirely too young to be that hardened, like way too young. I'm gonna try not to cry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry. You can take your time. You can take your time. Would you like some water? I'm gonna pour you some water.
No. It's the first and only time I've been this vulnerable on this podcast, so we back.
It's alright, man. It's alright.
But yeah, just realizing how bullying hardened me from such a young age. And I think earlier on in one of our episodes, I was speaking about how there was something very familiar about depression, and then it actually clicked.
It's like, oh shit, this is what I was feeling when I was a kid.
I was like, oh shit, like, because I remember.
I actually get you.
Yeah.
And it's very sad when you make that thing clicks.
Or whatever. Then I realized, no, I actually experienced this way earlier, before the teenage years, where,
That's actually wild because as you're saying that, I'm actually remembering that, like, at my worst, like at my most gruesome, at the point where I am most disgusted with who I was,
Yeah.
I was so angry and like so angsty. And in order for me to feel a bit better,
Yeah.
I like other people had to feel what I was feeling.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's wild.
And also just like realizing, as a result of all that shit, now 26 odd years, 25, I don't know the math, odd years later, now you're like, I actually have to work to actively cultivate softness in my life.
Yes.
Because of the experiences that, I've had as a at a very young age. And that shit is fucked up. Like, just watching, I mean, I didn't watch any of the video clips because I was like, this is not, but I mean, just seeing how she was from just like screenshots and also just her Facebook posts, and I was like, she had so much to offer, unfortunately, and not unfortunately, but and unfortunately her life had to be cut short because of something like this. And it's you're right, we really do relegate it to something that happens when you're a child, something that affects us negatively when you're a child, but it can affect you the same way as a grown-up.
So
if not way worse.
I think 2018 I was working as a grad, and I had the biggest bully of a manager.
Child,
like, when you look back at the bullying you experienced or the bullying that you dished up for others, in like primary school, those things of like whispering things or like
the tactics are
laughing
the same.
when someone walks past. The tactics don't change.
The tactics are the same.
The tactics
so
don't change. And she used to do that, and it literally triggered my IBS for the first time since 2015. Like, I was so sick because of what that lady was doing to me, and it was so difficult for me to actually admit how much that was affecting me, because as you grow older, and this is like something that even happens as a child, you become more and more ashamed by things affecting you, because like everyone is telling you that you must be strong, you must be this, you must be this. It's like all the solutions for anti-bullying lie with you.
Exactly.
And then all the anti-bullying solutions are actually not that safe even, because they don't deal with the thing at the core. Like, nothing says, oh, you're actually doing this to make yourself feel good, and you're not concerned with the lasting effects that it has on anyone else. Like, very few things say that. It's just like bullying is bad. And like, I've always had like this weird thing with messaging like that, because I feel like you're telling me this thing is bad, but it makes me feel good. So
now what?
I don't mind. I don't care when the bad is affecting someone else.
Exactly.
And that's how people think. It's the same as like drinking and driving. It's like, oh, well, I know how to handle myself. They don't consider how that's going to affect everyone else or anyone else that might come into their way. And I think like within that self-destruction of bullying, because that's what it is, because when you wake up or you unlock that, oh my God, I did this, or even when you're doing the thing, you actually do feel bad. Like, when you speak badly, when you respond badly to someone, like instantly after you've done it, it's like, oh my God, and then you choose, oh, am I going to carry on or am I going to apologize? And the easier thing to do is to carry on, because you don't want to acknowledge that you've been so mean to someone else.
Exactly.
I just think like the one thing that I really have not been enjoying, and I don't enjoy every time topics like this come up, is that because we're so afraid of our guilt being as apparent as everything else, people have this tendency, or we have this tendency of wanting to distance ourselves from the thing by preaching and pointing a finger at who the actual perpetrators are, especially with the societal ill like bullying that is so ingrained in all systems and structures. So I was online scrolling, then I see something very interesting. I see like this clip, it's been posted. It's this guy that used to write for Just Curious. And he's there sitting at the table like, I don't understand how parents can't see when their child is a bully. I don't understand how parents can't pick up this, that their child is bullying people. It's a failure on
Your
parents.
parents didn't pick it up when you were writing Just Curious.
And you were writing Just Curious as a fucking adult.
Exactly.
Like,
your parents didn't
and
pick
you're
that shit
literally telling people about people's parents. And I just feel like it's so dishonest when we put all of that on parents, because it actually made me remember how we live in such a like society that isn't parent friendly at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's not child friendly, but it's also not parent friendly, because if it was, all the ways that systems and structures and means of upward mobility was set up would be considerate of how parents actually operate. Like, very few parents have the opportunity to parent.
Yeah.
And that's why certain systems exist within the institutions that children find themselves in for most of the day, because they're supposed to supplement and also contribute to society by doing certain things that most parents wouldn't be able to do. And I'm not making excuses for parents at all, but I just feel like as soon as we say, how can a parent not see this? We know many things that our parents didn't identify with us.
So many things. Come on, guys. I think also for me, from the parent angle, I mean, parents, obviously, like we said, we're not making excuses for them, whatever. But also, in as much as parents should be able to look at themselves and the way they've raised their children and go, okay, maybe I've had a hand in this. We need to apply the fact that children are autonomous beings in this scenario.
And at the end of the day, what makes you feel good, it's not necessarily something that your parents teach you.
No.
Like, you pick up, and also sometimes you pick up somewhere else that, this is benefiting so-and-so like this. Rather I go with that than what my parents have told me.
Children are autonomous beings. They are watching things. I mean, look at Peppa Pig. She's a bully.
Literally.
Who knows? They could have picked it up from that
and
bitch,
people are
Peppa
buying
Pig.
Peppa Pig, their kids' Peppa Pig merch.
Exactly. It's things like that where children are not just seeing the world from their parents, they're seeing the world everywhere else.
And that's why it's always important to remember that if you have any form of interaction with children, it is a defining moment for them. Things aren't necessarily only just repetitive.
Yeah, and it's not just parents' responsibility, because I've also seen a lot of people say parents must parent their children and they want schools to parent their kids. That's in those hours.
But in those hours, that's your duty, and these things are happening
because in that moment when that principal was told, when she went to the principal with the security guard, the last thing he should have done was tell the security guard, go back. Because obviously the security guard, he saw everything. He shouldn't have told the security guard, go back to your post, and then told her, no, whatever, it's nothing. In that moment, that
he should have acted in it. Yeah, so he's as responsible as anyone else is. So I also just think, looking at the parenting thing, we forget that every person a child comes across can have like that moment where they symbolize a way to behave moving forward.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think like when we distance ourselves from that, it then becomes very dishonest.
We're doing a disservice, we're doing a disservice, because I'm sure there are other parents or people who are around children who, maybe the children have seen this whole thing happen and they're distancing them. And that's an opportunity. It's not an opportunity for you to distance yourself or your child or your nephew or your niece or your sibling away from the situation. It's an opportunity to then, to use it as a teaching moment.
But also I think like we don't have to, because my issue is parents must do. We don't have to wait until something happens.
It's a constant
thing, right? Within a household.
Checking in with our kids.
Even if you can't identify that your child is a bully or that your child is being bullied, it still should be a conversation that should be happening, because I feel like it wasn't a conversation that happened for me. Yeah. But also when I look at the dynamic at home, I was basically I was basically being raised by a bully, because she's had to, like that thing you were speaking about being hard. Yeah. Like I'm always so shocked when I come across my gran within a moment of softness, because I don't know that from her. Yeah, exactly. I didn't grow up within a space where you could be soft. Yeah. And like the moment that I wasn't strong enough, it was like I can't go home and tell anyone this. I need, because your parents aren't with you for a certain amount of time. Like Lufuno's suicide wasn't a result of something that was happening at home. It was a result of something that was happening outside, at school. The bullying happens at school. And also I can be someone completely different when I get home, because much like adults, we compartmentalize.
They then give you grief for doing that as well, for compartmentalizing. But it's like you have not provided a soft sort of landing in this place. So how do I come back and say X, Y, and Z has happened to me, knowing that at any point in time, this person is volatile. You know, our parents were volatile, and, you know, this person is working, they're stressed about this, hey, you know. And you're also, you've internalized that as well. They're like, oh my God, if I bring my problems, if I bring my problems to these people, you know, it's a whole thing. But it's also just easier, like you're saying.
It's easier to hide things. It's easier to keep things to yourself. But they make the mess much bigger, right?
Yeah.
And also they make the issue so much bigger too, because it's something that could have been addressed. It's something that people could have stood up for her, because the one thing you want when you're a kid is literally someone just standing up for you, someone taking your side and saying this is bullshit.
Exactly, yeah.
Like that's all a lot of people want, and it's so difficult to ask for that from people because there's so much shame in being on the receiving end of a bad thing. But I think we need to. There's been something interesting online where people who have done wrong have claimed that they are being bullied. Yeah. And I think that cheapens things.
You man on social media love to do that.
All the time. Even yesterday, like, men were claiming that they were being bullied into having an opinion about queer
the radio presenter was saying
issues.
That, and it was like, auntie, please.
My thing is, like, I'm always like, if you think that's bullying, damn, you've had a really nice life.
You've had a really nice life. Exactly. Really, some people are telling you.
When people are telling you you're wrong, you think that's being bullied. That's a very nice life.
That's amazing. To me, that's all it says to me is that clearly the bully is you here.
Yeah.
If being told, no, this is not it, is being bullied when you're being very blatantly wrong. Guys. I think, I don't know. Maybe it's because they used to run the streets back then. It's 2021 babies. You are all aunties and uncles. Follow like the orders, and you know.
But on the topic itself, like, how would you feel? And I know we had a brief conversation about it. Yeah. How would you feel if your bully came to apologize? Do you want the apology? Like, where are you?
Yeah, I don't think I'd want the apology personally, because like, what is it gonna do? I mean, I guess to a certain extent, child me would be a little bit somewhat soothed, but even then, because it's such an unresolved thing in my life, like, it would probably make me angrier. I think I've noticed that sometimes. Because one, I know what I'm expecting from an apology, and then you're not going to give me that apology, and then I'm just going to get angry. So I think I'd much rather just they kept it to themselves, because you're going to get it wrong. I know it's about you. Although, I mean, some people maybe are sincere. I don't know. And, you know, there could be a great conversation to be had from there, but I just don't think it is worthwhile. I think that's something that's reconciling that people need to do on their own, as I am doing on my own. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I would appreciate it necessarily, to be honest. I think it would just be a very like, oh, okay. Also, it would be very awkward. Like, someone just hops into your DMs like a bat in the night.
I'm so sorry.
I'm really sorry about X, Y, and Z. Wow. Okay.
I don't know. I don't think I would. I wouldn't. Personally, people that I have bullied, I wouldn't go out there and apologize to them unless they directly said, like, this is still affecting me and it's treating me like this, because I wouldn't want to trigger anyone. But also, when you bully people, you hardly ever remember, like, who you've bullied. It's actually fucking weird, because at that moment in time, you're in survival mode and you're just, like, going for whoever is most reachable and whoever is going to make it easier for you to get what you want from what you're doing. So I wouldn't go out there and apologize to someone because of that, but also as a person who has been bullied, I really wouldn't want that apology, because there's this wonderful thing that your memory does to you, where you can remember that someone bullied you, but like, if it was done long enough, there's certain things that you've just blurred out, but you have like certain feelings towards those things or towards that person. And I just feel like if somebody were to come apologize to me everything would just come back. And I don't know if I'm in a place to deal with that.
Exactly?
I don't know if I'm in a place to do with that, and I feel like it would be very self-serving.
I've got shit to do this year, please. I can't be going to therapy every week.
And also the same way that, like I said,
afford it.
as someone who's bullied someone, I don't remember the finer details. Now the person or someone coming to apologize to me would literally just like, in 4K, I would see every incident in 4K. And I just think like having to admit to myself that there's a pain that I've repressed for so long that's attached to those things would be a lot.
It's a lot, Oaks. We already have pains that have been accumulating for so many, all the way into our 20 whatevers. And please, man, like I can't. Like, yes, it's repression to a certain extent. It's fine. It's whatever. But I just don't. But it's funny because there's also part of me that's like, you know, I guess if someone were to do that, just hop into my mentions and apologize, I guess there would be a part of me that would be like, you know, it's okay. Like, I guess to a certain extent, because what can they do now?
I think also like that's very interesting because we're speaking from the reference point of people bullied us as a child or being a bully as a child. It's a very difficult conversation as an adult because
my old supervisor did that shit. I'd be like, bitch.
Over the last few years, I've had like so much, like it's gotten better over the last like 2-3 years, but so much cyberbullying.
Yeah.
But like, I would be fucking pissed off if anyone ever came to me and was like, yo, I actually remember the one person like Vincent texted you on some, can you facilitate? And it's like, what the fuck, nigga?
No.
So it's like,
I said, no.
It's a very weird or different discussion when you speak about it as an adult, because it's like, you know that this person was fully aware of what they were doing and how it would affect you. And they were really, really grand with like doing that for shits and giggles at the moment. And I just think that that's way more hurtful because they now know that this isn't only...
She's a grown-up, dog. Come on.
It's literally not only going to affect, like, let's say the way you do in primary school or how you play during break. It's going to affect, like, your mental health in a way that has a direct impact on things that you're chasing to try to attain. Like, if it's happening in the workplace, it's going to fuck up how you deliver. It's going to fuck up your opportunities.
That was the case with me in the workplace where it was like anxiety in the morning.
You're like, yo, I don't want to see this person. Yes. And then like, let's say at church, like you're fucking with my spirituality. And then like my spiritual development.
I mean, I've also seen people on the timeline talking about people who've twassed, and they're talking about the person
bullying
who was,
there.
The person who was, you know, sort of helping them through that. Literally imagine, like, you're trying to reach a certain level of spiritual, enlightenment or whatever, and there's a barrier.
But the thing is, bullying, much like any other ism or social issue, is that it will exist for as long as there are members of society that enable, one, but also for as long as it is something that isn't spoken about as a thing that makes people feel really good. It's the same way that we like address racism, and we're like, I don't understand why someone would. And it's like, because it feels fucking good. Like, it feels really good.
I mean, not to speak for the children in that instance, but I mean, now we're speaking for ourselves in any case. Literally.
But even for the children, like when you're in grade 1, being mean to another kid, it feels good. Everyone's going to want to play with you. No one's going to want to try you.
Exactly.
Literally. So it's like, for as long as we don't address it as something that soothes an ego or gives people a sense of importance, and we keep
social
looking at it from a moral, and we look at it from a moral perspective where we're like, this is bad, then people aren't going to change because
it's literally, this is bad now, what?
Moralistically, we're at the bottom. You can't use morals to motivate anyone. It has to be practical, and also you have to outline and explain a thing for what it is, so that every single person that interacts with that thing knows it for what it is. So it's because currently it's like in primary and high school, if you're a bully, you're cool. Like you're perceived as cool.
Exactly.
Because the messaging that's out there is not like, you're actually a fucking loser. And you're not operating from a place of empowerment when you're bullying someone else. You're actually more backed up against the wall and more vulnerable than the person that you're bullying, because you're trying to bring them to your level.
Exactly.
But then if you don't address it like that, I still have the room to hide as if what I'm doing is something cool.
Yeah.
And that's why I think like it's so important to look at bullying as you being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because it is you being vulnerable and then you trying to bring someone into that negative vulnerability too.
Exactly, yeah.
And once we look at it like that and speak about it like that, then it's
Maybe
easier
we
to
can get
identify.
somewhere.
Yeah, and it's easier for you to see yourself when you're
like,
you slipping
oh my
into
God,
because
I'm being mean because of X, Y, and Z.
exactly. And that's why it's like it's annoying when people are like, I've never bullied anyone. It's like, no, you're lying.
You've lashed out at somebody.
You've lashed out, yes. You've been rude to a service worker. You've been
for
you've
no
been rude
reason.
to a
And to
waitress.
you, it was like, I had a bad day. And, you know, you were then rude to those people.
People like always look at bullying as something that's like only repetitive. But as soon as there's any space where a power dynamic can exist or you can grab power in a negative way, you are bullying. So it doesn't have to be that, oh, I'm bullying Misha because I'm always with her and blah, blah, blah. You can bully a waitress that you've only met once and are only going to meet for that moment.
Easily, yeah.
So I think once we start looking at it like that and create a definition that's more empathetic and more human and also acknowledges the vulnerability on the bully's end without justifying what they're doing, it's a different chat.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys. Please, let's. I don't want to say let's do better. All I need to say is niggas need to stop killing queer people.
Oh my God, yeah.
Cishet women, can we stop trying to take part in all of that? Also, we play a role.
A big role
in homophobia. A huge
big
role
role
in
because
homophobia.
I think what we've noticed with the trans and feminine queer men killings is that most of them are always rooted in the fact that I thought this was a woman. That's the excuse.
Yeah.
And how do we, as cishet women, feel when we are the excuse for why people murder someone else? Because that says a lot about our relations with cishet men.
Yeah. And also, why is it that we are okay with sort of separating, homophobic killings from gender-based violence? It is. It's all encompassing.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's all of us.
It is.
And so, yeah, let's. I don't know, man.
So you know what? It actually does tie into the fact that man didn't kill Lulu because they thought Lulu was a woman. They killed Lulu because they feared what people would say about them after they found out that they have been sleeping with Lulu.
Yeah.
It's, and that then is another reminder to us to stay out of people's business.
Yeah.
Stay out of people's business to the point that people do not feel that they need to murder another person because they fear your words about that. Like
it's this whole thing is it's such a big ecosystem of just like fucked up mess. Yeah. It's just
we're too involved in other people's business.
Also fuck MacG once more. Because we told you that
Did you make another video?
No,
actually,
take it back to there where it's like we keep saying that these opinions, these things that you're saying in jest or whatever are dangerous. They are the reason people are being killed. They are the reason why the murderer was like, I'm going to be perceived in this way.
Yes, so I need to get rid of this body.
I need to get rid of this body. Nobody must know that X, Y, and Z is happening. So
and for someone's life to weigh less than a rumor,
that's wild.
That's scary.
That's wild.
But I think that's where we should end today. I think we all need to watch our words, especially when we are not in a good place. We also need to watch the things that make us feel good.
Yeah.
And how we source that goodness, because there are many things out there that can make you feel good about yourself without you having to punch down on another. It doesn't always have to be at somebody else's expense.
Exactly. Yeah.
But also in the moments that we do fall to the default, we need to be kind enough with ourselves to not slip deeper.
Yeah.
Be able to acknowledge we are wrong and how we have been wrong, and if it is appropriate to apologize to the other. But I just think if you are feeling the amount of shame that I'm feeling this week, be a bit kind to yourself, acknowledge the strides that you've made, acknowledge the goodness that you could have possibly brought into other people's lives, and also work towards bringing more goodness in people's lives going forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me.
And if, like me, you've been very triggered this week, child, cry it out. Hopefully not, during a podcast recording. But it is what it is. If you're crying, I cried on the plane back here as well. Because that's when it hit me. I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh my God. But anyway, cry it out if you must. Speak to people. Be kind to yourself. It is what it is. If you feel like you're consuming too much of the negative, take yourself out of that and watch something that makes you feel good. Go do something that makes you feel good too. Go buy ice cream or something. I don't know. Run or something. But yeah, guys, let us be kind even when we don't feel. I know a lot of that has been surfacing on social media, and people are like, "How can I be kind when I'm angry?" You can.
You can, but you don't have to be kind to a perpetrator.
Yes, exactly.
So I think the kindness when you're angry is like when dealing with people that have nothing to do, or when dealing with people that did not cause what you're dealing with, or are not enabling what you're dealing with. Don't snap at Menzi randomly because you're upset about what happened at work. Yeah. If you have to snap at someone at work because of what they're doing to you, that's okay. Yeah. But like, be kind to other people that are outside of the situation. Yeah. Because then you don't want a situation where you're upset about what happened at work and then you snap at Menzi, and then now there's another thing to be upset about. Do you get me? Like, you're adding more onto the negative thing that you're dealing with.
Exactly. But anyway, this is a very long episode.
And I told her.
It's a very long episode. Yeah, guys, like, comment, subscribe, all that shit.
Follow our new YouTube channel and listen on Anchor.
Please. We want money. Give us money if you have money. Also, we're tired of doing the shit for free. We will always do it, even if it's for free, but it's fine. Wow. We're tired.
Thank you.
Anyway, thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.